The year was 2143, and Earth had changed in ways few could have imagined. Cities glittered under shields of sustainable energy, and the skies were filled not just with birds and planes, but with spacecraft moving between colonies on the Moon, Mars, and the outer planets. Humanity had stretched its reach beyond the blue planet, yet Earth remained the most precious jewel in the solar system. It was home, vibrant and alive. On one seemingly ordinary morning, something extraordinary began. Astronomers working in observatories across the world noticed a strange pattern in the night sky. At first it seemed like a faint streak of light, a comet perhaps. But soon radar systems, satellites, and deep space telescopes all confirmed the impossible. Hundreds of massive objects were moving into the solar system from the direction of the distant nebulae. Dr. Liang Wu, head of the International Space Observation Center in Beijing, stared at the data on his screen. The readings were unlike anything humans had ever seen. These are not meteors. These are not spacecraft, we know. Their speed. It's faster than anything in our records, but their trajectory is precise, almost intelligent, he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. News spread quickly. Governments convened emergency meetings. Scientists shared urgent reports, and the world held its breath. People on the streets stopped their daily routines to watch the sky, pointing and whispering to each other. Children ran out of school to see what their parents were staring at. It was the kind of moment that would be remembered forever, though no one yet understood its importance. Within days, the objects reached the outskirts of Earth's solar system. They moved in formation, a vast silent fleet that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. Their shapes were unlike anything seen before. Not metal like human ships, but gleaming structures that shimmered with colors that seemed to change depending on the angle of the light. Some looked like giant crystals. Others curved like crescents floating in space. The entire fleet formed a near-perfect sphere around Earth, a silent ring that made even the most experienced scientists pause. Instead of panic, something unexpected happened. Humanity watched with a mix of awe and curiosity. There were no signals, no warnings, no attacks, only presence. Every nation, every community, and every individual sensed the weight of this event. Earth was being observed, and no one knew why. In the heart of Washington, D.C., President Elena Morales addressed the world. Her calm voice, steady and reassuring, broadcast across all networks. Fellow citizens of Earth, we are witnessing something beyond our understanding. A fleet has arrived, larger and more advanced than anything we could have imagined. We do not know their intentions, but let us remain united, calm, and vigilant. This is a moment to observe, to learn, and to show who we are as humans. While the words were meant to calm the population, fear whispered in the minds of many. Families huddled together, children clinging to their parents, as newscasters broadcast images of the alien ships floating in silence above the Earth. Every major city had set up observation points, and soon, millions of people were streaming data online, discussing every glint, every movement, every shape they could see. Dr. Wu and his team began analyzing the fleet's patterns. They're not moving randomly. It's almost as if they're positioning themselves to see everything, he said, pointing at the three-dimensional map on his display. The ships seemed to rotate slowly around Earth, maintaining a perfect balance, neither approaching nor leaving. It's patient. They're watching, waiting. In New Delhi, a group of scientists working in the Deep Space Communication Network noticed faint signals in the fleet's energy patterns. At first, they thought it was interference from human satellites. But as the days passed, it became clear. The signals were deliberate, but unlike anything humans had tried to interpret. They were not language in the way humans knew it. There were no letters, no sounds, no images. The signals flowed like a melody, rising and falling, echoing across the electromagnetic spectrum. Children on every continent noticed it too. Parents reported that young ones would stare at the sky for hours, humming strange tunes that seemed to mimic the signals. Psychologists began to wonder if humanity's youngest minds were more attuned to the patterns than anyone realized. In the first week of the fleet's arrival, human activity changed. Air traffic slowed, shipping routes were adjusted, and space agencies paused routine launches. But more importantly, something subtle shifted in people's hearts. Fear was present, yes, but curiosity grew stronger. People spoke less of destruction and more of wonder. What are they thinking? Why are they here? Are they like us? Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, proposing theories that ranged from the plausible to the wildly imaginative. Some believed the aliens were scouts, sent to see if Earth was habitable for a future colony. Others thought they were here for study, a giant cosmic experiment. A few suggested more optimistic ideas. Perhaps they were seeking friendship, or knowledge, or a chance to learn from humanity. Meanwhile, journalists captured the human reaction across the globe. In Tokyo, a crowd gathered at Shibuya Crossing, holding banners of welcome in multiple languages. In Rio de Janeiro, musicians played concerts under the sky, hoping to communicate through music. In Nairobi, children drew pictures of the fleet, imagining what the aliens might look like. Across continents, humans responded not with weapons but with art, science, and expression. Dr. Wu observed it all with quiet amazement. He thought back to humanity's history, the times when people had faced great unknowns, whether it was crossing oceans, exploring space, or facing natural disasters. And now, here they were, faced with something completely beyond comprehension, and yet the human spirit endured, vibrant and curious. The alien fleet remained silent. Days turned into a week, and still no direct contact was made. Yet humans began to notice subtle effects. Plants seemed to grow more vibrantly in regions closest to the fleet's observation points. Birds and other animals appeared unusually calm, almost aware of the silent watchers in the sky. Scientists speculated whether the aliens' presence emitted subtle energy fields, influencing Earth's ecosystem. Then, on the 10th day, something unprecedented happened. From the heart of the fleet, a small, perfectly spherical craft detached. Unlike the larger ships, it moved slowly toward Earth, following no known flight pattern. It hovered above the Pacific Ocean, shimmering like liquid glass. Radar systems could not detect its engines. Cameras showed no visible signs of propulsion. Humanity watched in collective breath-holding silence as the craft remained stationary for hours. Then, in the middle of the night, it emitted a soft pulse, a rhythmic glow that rippled across the ocean's surface. The pulse seemed to synchronize with the signals humans had been observing from the fleet. Scientists scrambled to record and decode the phenomenon, while ordinary people described a strange sense of calm, even joy, when the pulse reached their cities. News anchors struggled to find words. "It appears peaceful," one said. "No aggression, no harm, just presence." Across the world, humans began to respond in kind. Choirs sang under the night sky, and children released lanterns over oceans, rivers, and lakes, hoping to meet the silent alien visitor in spirit. People left offerings of music, poetry, and messages written in all languages. By the end of the first 2 weeks, humanity realized something remarkable. Despite the alien fleet's immense size and incomprehensible technology, humans were not afraid to respond with creativity, hope, and unity. Borders and division seemed small in comparison to the cosmic event unfolding above. The fleet, observers from an unknown corner of the universe, had arrived, yet humans were not cowering. They were listening, watching, and reaching out, not with force but with expression. Dr. Wu leaned back in his chair one evening, staring at the endless streams of data. "They are patient," he whispered. "They are watching. And for the first time, I think they are curious too. Somewhere in the fleet, perhaps, sensors recorded every heartbeat of the planet below, every song, every laugh, every tear of awe. And though humans did not yet understand the intentions of the watchers above, one truth became clear: Earth had entered a new chapter, a chapter that would define humanity not by fear or conflict, but by the very essence that made them unique: curiosity, creativity, and unity. And so Earth waited, watched by the vast and silent fleet. Humanity's greatest story had begun, not with fire or weapons, but with wonder. The world had changed forever, and no one knew what the next days would bring. But for the first time in history, humans looked at the stars not just with longing, but with purpose. And perhaps, just perhaps, the aliens above were beginning to understand what it meant to be human. The alien fleet had been hovering silently around Earth for weeks, yet it did not attack. It did not communicate. It simply watched. Humanity had expected fear to dominate, but something remarkable happened instead. People began to wonder, not panic. Scientists and engineers pored over data, trying to understand the strange behavior of the fleet. Musicians, artists, and children all found ways to respond creatively. Humanity had never faced a mystery like this, and the world was united as never before. In Geneva, the International Communication Center for Space Signals worked day and night. Dr. Amira Patel, a young linguist with a passion for patterns, had been assigned to the team analyzing the faint signals coming from the fleet. At first, the signals had seemed like static, random noise scattered across the electromagnetic spectrum. But as Dr. Patel listened, she noticed rhythm, repetition, and subtle variations. "These signals aren't random," she explained to her colleagues. "They have structure. They're patterns." Like a conversation, but not directed at us yet. Her team stared in awe at the monitors displaying strange waveforms. For every fluctuation, a corresponding energy pattern from the fleet appeared. It was as if the aliens were speaking to each other, invisible threads of communication pulsing across space. Meanwhile, on the streets of every continent, humans adapted to the presence of the fleet. Schools held lessons under the open sky, encouraging children to watch the ships and imagine what they might be thinking. Cities organized nights of music and art, hoping to show the aliens the creativity of humankind. Even in rural villages, people pointed telescopes toward the stars, recording data, drawing sketches, and sharing observations online. Humanity had never been so united in a single purpose. Dr. Patel's breakthrough came one evening, when she stayed late in the laboratory. She replayed the signals, slowing them down to a fraction of their speed. At first, it sounded like a strange melody, rising and falling, with patterns repeating in ways that reminded her of human speech. But then she noticed something more. The signals were not only patterns, they were relationships. Every pulse, every wave seemed connected to the next in a complex chain. "It's a language of connection," she whispered to herself. "Not words, not letters. It's ideas, relationships, logic expressed in energy." Her colleagues leaned in, studying the displays. Slowly, they realized that the fleet's communication was unlike any language humans had ever known. It was not meant for sound or sight. It was a network, a shared intelligence connecting thousands of ships across vast distances. Each vessel was aware of the others, exchanging information in a dance of precision and complexity. As days passed, the alien signals seemed to respond to humanity's own broadcasts. Musicians playing under the sky noticed subtle changes in the light of the fleet above. Choirs singing in harmony with the pulse of the signals felt a strange resonance, as though the aliens were listening and responding in their own way. Artists reported that the shapes of the ships seemed to shift slightly when their drawings were projected into the night sky. Across the world, humans began to sense that the aliens were not indifferent observers. They were curious. Every city, every nation, every individual participated in a silent dialogue. Messages of peace, creativity, and curiosity flowed through radio waves, television broadcasts, social media, and open letters to the stars. Humanity's collective voice rose, not in fear but in expression. Even nature seemed to respond. Scientists observed unusual patterns in weather, tides, and animal behavior. Birds flew in intricate formations as if tracing invisible lines in the sky. Plants grew with unusual vigor. Even the ocean seemed calmer, as though the presence of the fleet above had a subtle harmonizing effect on Earth. Governments were cautious but hopeful. In New York, the United Nations convened an emergency meeting, not to discuss defense but to coordinate humanity's response. "This is unprecedented," said Secretary General Marcos Alvarez. "We are being observed by a civilization beyond our understanding. Yet, instead of fear, we have an opportunity to show who we are, what we value, and why humanity is unique." Dr. Patel continued her research, working with mathematicians, physicists, and even musicians. Together, they discovered that the signals contained a kind of logical symmetry. It was not human mathematics, yet it could be expressed using familiar concepts, patterns, ratios, and sequences. Every message from the fleet contained subtle variations, like questions posed in a language humans had only begun to understand. One night, as she stared at the screens, Dr. Patel realized something extraordinary. The fleet's signals were not static, they were adapting. When humans broadcast music, art, and messages of curiosity, the alien energy patterns responded with subtle changes. It was almost as if the fleet was learning about humanity through observation. "This is amazing," she whispered to Dr. Liang Wu, who had joined her team. "They're not here to attack us. They're here to study us, to understand us. Dr. Wu nodded, his eyes reflecting both awe and concern. And we're showing them exactly what humans are capable of. Our creativity, our curiosity, our unity. They didn't expect this. They didn't expect us. While scientists studied the fleet, ordinary people continued to find their own ways to communicate. Children built enormous sculptures of stars and planets, hoping to catch the attention of the silent watchers. Farmers played music in their fields, curious if the rhythm of life on Earth could be noticed from the sky. In Tokyo, a group of teenagers projected laser patterns into the night, turning the city into a canvas that reached toward the stars. In Paris, a team of writers composed stories about human dreams, fears, and achievements, sending them into space through high-frequency radio signals. Perhaps they cannot hear our words, one writer said, but maybe they can feel our intent, the essence of who we are. As weeks passed, the alien fleet remained unchanged in its formation. No ship moved closer, no attack occurred, no communication arrived in a way humans could understand directly. And yet humans felt a growing connection. It was not physical, it was spiritual. Something in the presence of the fleet inspired creativity, unity, and a deeper understanding of humanity's place in the universe. Even leaders began to recognize this subtle shift. President Elena Morales addressed the world again, this time with a tone of inspiration. People of Earth, the fleet above us does not seek to harm. Instead, it observes, let us show them what humanity can do, not with weapons but with imagination, courage, and cooperation. Let us show them the best of ourselves. In cities across the globe, people responded. Concerts were held on rooftops under the watchful shimmer of the fleet. Children's choirs sang in synchronized harmony across continents. Scientists launched new satellites carrying messages of human knowledge and creativity. Humanity had never been so connected, not just with each other, but with the cosmos itself. Dr. Patel began to notice subtle patterns in the alien signals that suggested the fleet was sharing information among its own ships. They are communicating with each other, she explained, and when we respond, they adjust. It's a dialogue, indirect, but real. Her team began to theorize that the fleet had visited other worlds before Earth. Perhaps other civilizations had failed some unknown test, while humanity for the first time responded with something entirely new: openness, creativity, and unity. Even children seemed to sense it. Many described dreams in which the ships were not ominous but welcoming, towers of light and energy, observing but not threatening. Psychologists began to study the phenomenon, noting that human imagination might be interacting with the alien signals in ways science could not yet explain. One evening, as the sun set over the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Patel observed something extraordinary. A faint glow emanated from the center of the fleet, pulsing in rhythm with Earth's rotation. The signals, she realized, were not only responding to human broadcasts, they were adapting to the planet itself. It was as if the fleet had become aware of the Earth as a living system, and humanity as an inseparable part of it. This is unlike anything we could have imagined, Dr. Wu said softly. They are not here to conquer. They are here to learn, and perhaps to be surprised by us. For the first time, humanity felt a sense of pride. Not pride born from power or weapons, but from something deeper, from the ability to create, to imagine, to connect, and to respond with intelligence and compassion. Humans had become more than observers of their own world. They had become participants in a dialogue with a civilization beyond the stars. And the fleet above waited, silently, patiently, as Earth spoke through music, art, science, and hope. The world had changed. Fear had given way to curiosity. Panic had given way to unity. And humanity was only beginning to understand that the greatest story of all was not about survival, but about what it meant to be human, and perhaps why humans were different from every species the fleet had ever encountered. The silence of the alien fleet was no longer a threat. It was a challenge, an invitation, and a mirror reflecting humanity's own brilliance. And deep in the hearts of billions, a single thought began to take shape. Earth was not alone, but it had the power to show the universe who humans truly were. The alien fleet had remained in silent formation for nearly a month. Earth had adapted to their presence. Life went on, yet everything had changed. Children gazed at the sky with curiosity, not fear. Scientists worked tirelessly to decode the fleet's mysterious signals. Musicians composed melodies to reach the stars, and entire communities organized events to express humanity's creativity. Across continents, the world had come together in ways no one had thought possible. Dr. Amira Patel, leading the International Space Communication Team, had grown increasingly obsessed with the signals. She would sit for hours in the dim glow of monitors, watching waves of alien energy pulse across the screens. Her team had already realized the signals were a kind of language, but it was unlike any language humans had ever known. No letters, no sounds, no images, only complex patterns of energy, logic, and rhythm. One evening, as rain poured softly outside the Geneva lab, Dr. Patel noticed a subtle shift. "Look at this," she said to Dr. Liang Wu, pointing at a series of pulses. "They're not just patterns. They're responding to our broadcasts. Every time we send music, stories, or messages of hope, the signals adjust. It's as if they're learning about us." Dr. Wu leaned closer. "Learning. Or testing," he said. "What if they are trying to see who we are, what we're capable of?" Dr. Patel's eyes widened. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. Could Earth be under examination? A test? She immediately began comparing the signals with historical data of alien encounters recorded by space agencies. There were a few vague accounts of distant civilizations in the fleet's path, but none had been observed in detail until now. The breakthrough came at dawn, after hours of analysis. Dr. Patel had slowed down the signals and converted them into a form her team could interpret. Patterns emerged, repeating structures and sequences that hinted at intention. Then something astonishing appeared. Messages about other worlds. "They're describing other civilizations," Dr. Patel said, her voice trembling. "They have records, histories, experiments, and now Earth is the latest entry." Her team leaned in as the screen revealed a sequence of energy patterns. Slowly, Dr. Patel translated them into concepts humans could understand. Other planets had faced the fleet, and their species had behaved predictably. Selfish, violent, fearful. Each civilization had eventually disappeared from the records, leaving only data, patterns, and warnings. "They vanished," Dr. Wu whispered. "No one knows why. The fleet just left after observing," Dr. Patel nodded. "And now they're watching us. But this time, something is different. Every human broadcast, every song, every story we send, it changes their signals. They can't predict us. They don't understand humans yet. Across the world, human creativity flourished like never before. In New York, artists projected giant images of Earth's history into the night sky. In Mumbai, musicians performed orchestras in sync with the fleet's pulses. Children in São Paulo sent messages drawn on paper, uploaded to satellites reaching the silent watchers above. Humanity's diversity of thought, culture, and imagination was now part of the global experiment. Dr. Patel realized that the fleet's signals were not meant to intimidate. They were observational. Their purpose was not conquest but understanding. "They want to know what makes us human," she said. "Why we are unpredictable. Why our creativity cannot be measured like other species." As news of the discovery spread, the world reacted in awe. Social media filled with messages celebrating the realization. Humans were unique in ways even the most advanced civilization could not fully comprehend. Scientists, artists, teachers, and students began asking themselves what it truly meant to be human. Was it courage? Curiosity? Kindness? Creativity? All of these, they decided, and more. Humanity's response became more deliberate. If the fleet was observing, they would see the best of what humans could offer. Across continents, synchronized events were organized. Musicians, poets, and dancers performed simultaneously in hundreds of cities. Schools sent messages filled with children's hopes, drawings, and inventions. Scientists shared knowledge openly, broadcasting Earth's accomplishments in medicine, technology, and environmental restoration. Even nature seemed to participate. Scientists reported unusual activity in animal behavior. Birds flew in organized formations as if mapping invisible patterns in the sky. Whales sang songs in oceans that harmonized with faint energy pulses detected from the fleet. Trees grew in unexpected ways, aligning with the invisible forces around them. Humanity's planet was alive, and the fleet above seemed to take notice. In Geneva, Dr. Patel worked late into the night. She had discovered something extraordinary. The fleet's energy pulses sometimes mirrored human thought patterns. When people broadcast messages of hope and creativity, the pulses changed in subtle ways. It was as if the aliens were not only observing but processing emotions, something they may have never experienced before. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Patel said. "They're not only studying us, they are trying to understand emotion, imagination, unpredictability. That is why humans are unique." Her colleagues nodded silently, recognizing the gravity of the moment. Humanity had entered a test that no one fully understood. Yet the result depended not on power, weapons, or dominance, but on the qualities that defined the human spirit. Meanwhile, ordinary people continued to participate without knowing the significance. Children waved at the sky, thinking they were playing a game. Artists painted murals depicting unity, curiosity, and exploration. Families told stories under the stars, hoping that their words could travel across space. Humanity's collective expression was becoming a force in itself. Governments adjusted to the new reality. Military forces were kept on alert, but they were secondary. The priority shifted to education, science, and creativity. The United Nations organized a global council to coordinate humanity's response. "We are under observation," Secretary General Marcos Alvarez said. "But we are not powerless. We can show the universe who we are, not through fear, but through unity, curiosity, and imagination." As Dr. Patel continued to study the signals, she noticed a remarkable pattern. The fleet was no longer just sending information to itself. It was actively reacting to humanity. When cities sent music or broadcasts of knowledge, the fleet's energy patterns would shift slightly, as if acknowledging the contribution. This subtle feedback suggested the aliens were learning, not about technology or tactics, but about humanity itself. One evening, Dr. Patel shared her observations with Dr. Wu. "They are fascinated by us," she said softly. "We are unpredictable. Our creativity, our cooperation, our unity, it's something they cannot calculate. Other civilizations may have been predictable, but humans, we are a mystery," Dr. Wu smiled. "And that is why they came. Not to conquer. Not to test us in the way we think. They came because we are extraordinary." News of this revelation spread quickly. Across the world, people felt a new sense of pride. Humans were not just a species on a small planet. They were a living, thinking, creating force in the universe. The fleet's observation became a mirror, reflecting humanity's best qualities back at itself. In schools, children asked questions about courage, imagination, and empathy. In laboratories, scientists pondered how to communicate in ways beyond words and numbers. In cities, communities organized events to showcase human achievement. Humanity was not only surviving the alien presence, it was thriving under it, showing the best of what it could be. The fleet remained in orbit, silent yet responsive. Its presence was a constant reminder of the vastness of the universe and humanity's
unique place within it. Dr. Patel
often thought of the other civilizations mentioned in the signals, civilizations that had failed to meet the fleet's expectations. Earth was now the center of an unprecedented experiment, not of destruction, but of understanding. In the quiet of the Geneva lab, Dr. Patel reflected on humanity's journey. From the first humans who looked at the stars and wondered, to the explorers of distant planets, to the creators of art and music, every step had led to this moment. Humanity was being observed by a civilization that had seen countless worlds, and for the first time, a species had shown something the fleet could not predict: creativity, unity, and hope. The realization filled her with awe and determination. The discovery was clear: humans were not ordinary. They were exceptional. And now Earth had a choice: to show the universe the very best of itself, or remain passive under silent observation. As the sun rose over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Dr. Patel made a decision. Humanity would respond, not with fear, not with force, but with its true essence. Music, art, science, and stories would continue to flow into space. Humans would show the aliens that the heart of a species cannot be measured, predicted, or constrained. The fleet above remained silent, yet every pulse, every shimmer of light, every subtle change in energy seemed to reflect curiosity. For the first time, humanity understood that this was more than observation. It was recognition. And with recognition came responsibility. Earth had entered a new era. The fleet was no longer a threat. It was a challenge. A test perhaps, but not one of strength or fear. The test was simple: show who you are truly. And humanity, for the first time in history, understood what it meant to rise to T. For the first time, humans F. The alien fleet continued to hover silently around Earth, a vast and glittering ring against the backdrop of space. Days had turned into weeks, and humanity had grown used to its presence. But while people had adapted, scientists and leaders knew that something significant was about to happen. The signals from the fleet were becoming more complex, almost as if the aliens were responding to humanity's actions. Dr. Amira Patel and her team had spent countless hours decoding these signals. Patterns emerged like puzzle pieces, revealing subtle indications that the fleet was paying close attention to human activity. Every broadcast, every song, every message sent into space seemed to elicit a reaction. The pulses of energy would change slightly, shimmer more brightly, or alter rhythm. "We've reached a turning point," Dr. Patel said during a meeting of the International Space Communication Team. "The fleet is no longer just observing. They're interacting. They're learning, and perhaps judging. This is our chance to show the universe what humanity truly is." The United Nations convened a global council to discuss a coordinated response. Leaders, scientists, educators, and artists gathered to decide how Earth should present itself. After days of deliberation, they agreed on a bold approach. Humanity would respond not with fear, not with weapons, but with creativity, knowledge, and unity. Cities around the world began preparations. In Tokyo, skyscrapers projected images of Earth's diverse cultures. In Paris, musicians rehearsed symphonies to be played simultaneously across multiple continents. In Nairobi, children painted murals depicting the beauty of nature, technology, and human imagination. Across oceans and deserts, humanity's expression became a global chorus reaching toward the stars. Dr. Patel's team took the lead in scientific communication. Satellites carried recordings of human achievements, space exploration, medical discoveries, environmental restoration, and cultural milestones. Each satellite was programmed to broadcast simultaneously, creating a coordinated signal visible to the fleet's sensors. It was not only a demonstration of knowledge, but a message of unity and cooperation. As the preparations continued, Dr. Patel noticed a subtle change in the fleet's signals. The pulses had become faster, more intricate, as if the aliens were responding to humanity's efforts in real time. "They're impressed," she said quietly to Dr. Liang Wu, "or at least curious. They don't fully understand us yet, and that makes them pay closer attention." The day of the global broadcast arrived. Humanity had never felt so connected. Across continents, billions of people participated, each contributing to a single, unified effort to communicate with the fleet. Music, art, stories, and scientific knowledge flowed upward through satellites, radio waves, and light signals. Children's voices joined adult choirs. Paintings reflected shared dreams, and scientific achievements sparkled like constellations sent into space. Dr. Patel watched the monitors with awe. The fleet responded immediately. Ships shimmered, pulses of energy flowing outward in patterns that echoed humanity's broadcasts. It was a silent conversation, a dance of light and energy spanning thousands of kilometers and countless ships. Humans were speaking through their creations, and the aliens were listening. Meanwhile, people around the world sensed something extraordinary. Children reported dreams of glowing cities and floating ships filled with light. Farmers noticed unusual patterns in nature, birds flying in perfect formations and trees swaying in rhythm with invisible forces. Humanity had become part of a larger universal symphony, and the fleet above seemed to notice every note. As the hours passed, Dr. Patel discovered a remarkable pattern in the fleet's signals. The pulses occasionally shifted in ways that mirrored human logic and reasoning. When a scientist on Earth proposed a solution to a problem, the signals seemed to respond as if considering the idea. When artists created new forms of expression, the fleet's energy pulses adapted to reflect them. "They're thinking," Dr. Patel whispered to Dr. Wu. "Not in our way, but they're processing ideas, concepts, even creativity. They're trying to understand what it means to be human." Dr. Wu smiled. "And for the first time, we're showing them something unexpected. Not power, not technology, but imagination, cooperation, and curiosity. That is why humans are different." In New York, an international choir sang in harmony with the fleet's pulses. In Moscow, dancers moved in patterns that echoed the shapes of the ships above. In Rio de Janeiro, Children released thousands of lanterns into the sky, each carrying drawings, messages, and small lights meant to reach the watchers above. Across the globe, humanity's response was not chaotic but synchronized, a single effort expressing the essence of being human. Then, something extraordinary happened. From the center of the fleet, a small craft detached, shimmering like liquid silver. Unlike the larger ships, it moved slowly toward Earth, hovering above the Pacific Ocean. Cameras captured its every motion, but no engines were visible. No sound emanated. It was as if the craft were alive, responding directly to humanity's collective expression. Dr. Patel and her team observed in astonishment. The craft emitted pulses in perfect harmony with the global broadcasts. The signals were no longer random patterns, they were answers, reflections of human thought and creativity. The fleet was engaging directly with Earth, and for the first time, humans had proof that their efforts were being noticed. On the ground, people gathered to witness the event. Millions stared at the sky, holding hands, singing, and projecting lights. Children waved at the silver craft, imagining it could see them. Families shared stories under the stars. Humanity's response was not born of fear, but of hope, pride, and unity. Dr. Patel realized something profound. The fleet had visited other civilizations, but none had responded in this way. Humans were unique in their ability to express not only knowledge but emotion, creativity, empathy, and cooperation. This was not a test of strength but of spirit. The silver craft pulsed brighter, and for the first time a pattern appeared that humans could interpret. It was simple yet astonishing. A series of energy pulses forming shapes resembling human symbols, hearts, circles, and waves, interacting with Earth's broadcasts. The aliens were acknowledging humanity's message. Dr. Wu turned to Dr. Patel, eyes wide. They're responding. They don't fully understand us, but they recognize something valuable, something different, something uniquely human. Across the globe, humanity erupted in quiet celebration. Not cheers or loud noises, but a collective feeling of pride and awe. People realized that their creativity, cooperation, and unity had reached beyond Earth. The fleet, with all its power and knowledge, could not predict or replicate what humans had done. Humanity had become more than observers on their own planet. They had become participants in a cosmic dialogue. Dr. Patel sent a message of her own, a simple broadcast from Geneva. We are human. We create, we imagine, we unite. We share our world with curiosity and hope. We do not seek to conquer, but to understand and grow together. The fleet responded with pulses of energy that reflected the broadcast's rhythm. Every ship shimmered in unison as if acknowledging the message. Humanity's efforts were not just noticed, they were respected. The turning point had arrived. Humans were no longer just observed. They were understood, in a way that no other civilization had ever achieved. As the day turned into night, Dr. Patel watched the fleet, feeling a deep sense of pride. Humanity had faced the unknown not with fear, but with creativity, unity, and courage. The aliens above had seen the best of what humans could be. And in return, humans had glimpsed a universe vast enough to hold endless possibilities. In her heart, Dr. Patel realized that the true test was not survival but expression. Humans had shown that even under observation by a civilization far beyond their understanding, they could rise to the challenge, not with weapons or dominance, but with imagination, cooperation, and hope. And the fleet above continued to shimmer, pulse, and observe, a silent witness to the turning point of human history. Humanity had passed a threshold, proving that their spirit could reach across the stars. The turning point had been reached, and the universe itself seemed to take notice. For the first time, humans understood that they were not ordinary, they were extraordinary. And the moment had come when Earth's voice would echo in the cosmos, not as a whisper of fear, but as a song of humanity. The alien fleet had hovered silently around Earth for weeks, and humanity had risen to the challenge. Across the globe, people had shown their creativity, unity, and hope. Music, art, stories, and knowledge flowed into space, reaching the watchers above. Children waved at the sky, scientists shared discoveries, and communities united to display the best of humanity. Dr. Amira Patel had been at the heart of the effort. With her team, she had decoded the fleet's signals and discovered the truth. Earth was under observation. Other civilizations had come before, but humanity's response was unlike anything the fleet had seen. Humans were unpredictable, imaginative, and cooperative. They were not a species that could be measured or categorized easily. Now something extraordinary was happening. The fleet, which had remained silent and still for so long, began to shift. Lights shimmered across the ships, pulsing in patterns that mirrored the broadcasts from Earth. The silver craft that had hovered above the Pacific Ocean extended its glow, radiating energy that seemed almost alive. Scientists recorded every change, noting that the fleet's patterns were responding to human activity in real time. President Elena Morales addressed the world from the United Nations headquarters. Her voice was calm, filled with awe. People of Earth, the fleet has watched us, and we have responded with the very best of who we are. Not fear, not weapons, but curiosity, creativity, and unity. We have shown them the heart of humanity. Across continents, people gazed at the sky, sensing a shift in the alien presence. It was as if the fleet itself had acknowledged humanity's message. In quiet towns, children noticed that the ships shimmered brighter when humans sang or played music. In cities, scientists observed that the fleet's energy pulses sometimes mirrored human logic and emotion. The aliens were learning, and humans had become teachers without even knowing it. Dr. Patel and her team were monitoring the signals closely. For the first time, patterns emerged that seemed deliberate, shapes, sequences, and rhythms that could be interpreted as recognition. The fleet was not just observing, it was responding. Humanity had passed the first stage of an unprecedented cosmic dialogue. Then early one morning, the unexpected happened. Without warning, the entire fleet began to move. Slowly, majestically, the ships rose higher above Earth. They formed a perfect sphere around the planet one last time, shimmering with light in a silent display of intelligence and awe. The silver craft detached, hovering above the Pacific once more, before slowly ascending into the fleet. Dr. Wu turned to Dr. Patel, astonished. "They're leaving," he whispered. "But they didn't attack. They didn't take anything. They're simply departing." The realization spread across Earth like wildfire. Humanity had survived the presence of the most advanced civilization ever encountered. Not because of weapons or defense, but because of unity, creativity, and hope. Humanity had shown its true nature, and the fleet had recognized it. Children cheered in the streets. Families hugged, tears of joy flowing freely. Scientists recorded the departure, knowing that the world had witnessed a historic moment unlike any other. Humanity had not only survived observation, they had impressed a civilization far beyond comprehension. As the fleet ascended and slowly disappeared into the stars, Dr. Patel sent a final broadcast into space. It was a simple message, heartfelt and sincere. We are human. We create, we imagine, we share, we unite. Thank you for watching, and we hope to continue learning together in the future. The message traveled across the void, reaching the last pulses of the fleet before the ships vanished completely. Silence returned to Earth. The night sky was empty once more, yet the world had changed forever. Humanity had discovered something profound, not only about the aliens above, but about themselves. Across the globe, people reflected on what had happened. Scientists realized that curiosity and cooperation could achieve what fear and isolation could not. Artists understood that creativity was a universal language. Children learned that even small gestures, songs, drawings, stories, could reach beyond the world they knew. Humanity had been observed, tested, and recognized. Dr. Patel walked outside, staring at the night sky. The stars seemed brighter, closer, and full of possibility. For weeks, the alien fleet had hovered above, silent and magnificent. Now the sky was open, but humanity had been transformed. Dr. Wu joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We were part of something extraordinary," he said. "The fleet came to observe and they left. But we changed in the process. We learned who we are." Around the world, similar conversations took place. Teachers discussed the importance of unity and creativity. Families shared their experiences of wonder and awe. Cities held celebrations of music and art, honoring the presence that had challenged humanity to rise above fear. In the following days, scientists and philosophers debated the meaning of the fleet's visit. Some wondered if the aliens had understood humanity completely. Others believed that Earth had only passed the first stage of observation. Yet all agreed on one thing: humans had proven themselves unique in the universe. Their creativity, curiosity, and cooperation could not be predicted or replicated. Dr. Patel continued her work, documenting the signals and patterns left behind. Though the fleet was gone, traces of their observation remained in subtle energy fields and unexplained phenomena. Humanity had been touched by something extraordinary, and the knowledge gained would inspire generations to come. Children, especially, were changed. Many dreamed of the stars not with fear, but with curiosity. Schools encouraged exploration and creativity, inspired by the realization that humanity's spirit could reach beyond Earth. Art, music, and science flourished in ways never seen before. The fleet's visit had sparked a global awakening. Leaders reflected on the lessons learned. President Morales addressed the world once more. The fleet came to observe, and in doing so they reminded us of our greatest strength, not our technology, but our imagination, our courage, and our unity. Let this moment inspire us to continue growing, creating, and exploring together. Dr. Patel watched as the sun rose over Geneva, painting the city in soft gold light. The alien fleet was gone, yet humanity felt a connection to the universe deeper than ever before. People were no longer simply inhabitants of Earth. They were creators, explorers, and participants in a larger cosmic story. In the years that followed, humans continued to explore space, inspired by the visit of the fleet. Satellites carried messages of hope, music, and knowledge to distant stars. Colonies on Mars, the Moon, and beyond became hubs of creativity and cooperation. Humanity had learned that fear could be transformed into wonder, and that unity and imagination could open doors to the universe itself. Even though the fleet was never seen again, its visit became a defining moment in human history. Children grew up hearing stories of the silent ships that watched Earth, teaching humanity a lesson in creativity, cooperation, and hope. Artists painted murals of the fleet, scientists wrote papers on its mysterious signals, and writers composed tales that inspired generations. Dr. Patel often thought back to that first moment, staring at the pulsing signals on her monitors. The fleet had arrived, silent and unknown. Humanity had responded not with fear, but with creativity, unity, and hope. In doing so, humans had revealed something remarkable. Their spirit, unpredictable and extraordinary, could reach across the stars. And so, Earth moved forward into a new era. The sky was open, the universe full of possibilities, and humanity had discovered something that no alien, no matter how advanced, could fully measure or predict: the power of curiosity, imagination, and unity. The fleet was gone, but its silent lesson remained. Humanity had proven itself not through war or domination, but through the very essence that made them special. The world had changed forever, and for the first time, humans looked at the stars not with fear, but with hope, pride, and purpose. The day the fleet surrounded Earth had become the day humanity discovered itself. The aliens were never heard from again, but perhaps that was the answer all along. Humans were not a species to be measured or controlled. They were a mystery to be respected, a spark of creativity in a vast universe. And from that day on, the stars held not just wonder, but promise, for the humans who had learned to rise to a challenge without fear, to shine without restraint, and to speak without words, proving that their spirit could reach across the cosmos.